It is such a pleasure to be joined by Trimala and Barkha for a very heartfelt, sincere film called Chalti Rahe Zindagi, which will be premiering at the UK Asian Film Festival on 6th of May. So, Barkha and Trimala, a warm welcome to you both, and thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's so good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Right. So look, I think I'm going to begin by saying that I think for me, both of your characters, not only do they sort of share a significant time on screen together, but they simultaneously embrace vulnerability and resilience. So how liberating yet tough is it to explore emotionally challenged roles of this nature? Berka, do you want to go first?
I think definitely. I think women and emotions just kind of go together. So it is extremely liberating to be able to express emotions on screen. It is a way of, it is our expression of love or anxiety or fear or whatever. We feel deep emotions about a lot of things. So it is extremely liberating, but challenging, yes, because there's a very thin line where we want to express and yet not seem weak. So we to portray a woman's character who is going through maybe a sea of emotions but does not want to show that she's a weak person, which is what my character is all about in the film. Going through this whole thing where my husband's having an affair with the neighbor, and I know, uh, but I have a daughter at home to take care of, and I have to be strong, and I have to be, like, fearless and say that, okay, I've got it all, covered, whereas I have no idea. But it is definitely challenging because, like I said, it is a very thin line. uh, so while playing this character Aru, I never wanted to really gain sympathy from people. I wanted people to empathize with me, but also find it very empowering to be a woman like Aru is.
Right.
So that was a bit of a challenge because it's very easy to just feel sorry for Aru, to feel that, oh, poor thing. And I didn't want that. So that is the challenging bit.
Right. And what about for you, Trimala? Because obviously the character you play, obviously it's quite a tough role because she, in a way, faces the influence of capitalism as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a little tough because, anyways, I've not seen that life in my personal journey, so it was a little tough to play that character. But as women are very strong emotionally, so I could connect with the emotions, not literally, but personally. Something or the other keeps happening in women's life, so you can connect personally with those emotions, and that's what I did. Few of the emotions I connected with my personal life, and I kind of portrayed it through Champa. It was challenging. Yeah, I feel every role is challenging. It was quite challenging because we were shooting during COVID and the railway track, and there was so much to do. But I kind of really enjoyed it as well because, when the emotions are difficult, it becomes very difficult to portray it. You don't know if you're doing it right or wrong. So that was challenging, but I really enjoyed what I did.
Hmm. Right. And I'm glad you mentioned the pandemic because, it's changed the world as a whole. But to what extent do you think COVID-19, perhaps as a byproduct of the disaster itself, has it made you more aware as artists when it comes to portraying sentimentality on screen? Do you feel like you're a lot more conscious now when it does come to playing emotionally challenged or damaged roles?
No, I wouldn't say that. That it's affected me in my in my profession, but it has like COVID has affected me personally, not by my profession. Like if there is a character which is emotional, I know like I have to do it. So there is like I can't run away from it, and I have to figure it out to how I will reach there to portray the right emotions. So as an artist, in a different way, COVID has affected me, but not portraying a character. I would say that it's not affected me that ways. Yeah.
Mhm. What about you, Barkha?
I think adding to what Trimala just said, um, yes, it is true that even me, it has affected me as a person. Like you said, Anusha, it has made me a lot more aware of what life was before COVID, what life was during, and what it's after. So it's made me very aware of the fact that there are a lot of things that you can really let go of, and there are a lot of things that you need to hold very close to your heart. So, in terms of that, as a person, it has definitely changed me. But yes, because I have changed as a person, I think my portrayal of characters on screen has also changed because I'm a different person, because there was a certain amount of, like I said, self awareness, or a lot of emotion that went behind the whole thing during COVID as well, to be stuck and stranded at home and not be able to, do a lot of things, feeling helpless sometimes, worried, sick about the fact that, oh my God, what if something bad had to happen? Because you're hearing bad news like every day. So, yes, definitely changed me as a person, and thus has changed my portrayal of characters, I think, then on. So, yeah, I think a little addition to what Trimala said, that as a person, because a lot of me goes into the characters that I play. So if I'm a different person today, then the characters will definitely have a different portrayal of it as well.
Hmm. And I think this was also shot during the pandemic as well, from what I remember. So again, at that point when you were shooting for it, I mean, of course, it wasn't exactly like an outdoor studio, stereotypical studio shoot, but I'm sure adjusting to that new um way of filmmaking and that new mechanics of and the process of working on the set post pandemic, that must have been quite an alarming thing, right, for you guys, I'm sure.
Alarming it was, because I think first when Aarti, the director, I mean, she approached me and I'm like, is she crazy? Like, how are we going to do this with like four people, which was me and Indraneil, where we played, our story was together. And then there was Aarti and our DOP, the camera guy, Dharam. And I'm like, she's got to be kidding, right? You cannot shoot a film with four people. But we did. And whilst we were shooting, each day that we were shooting, and I'm like, okay, today just went by. And then the next day happened, and then the next day happened. And I'm like, oh my God, we actually did this. So it was extremely inspiring, if you ask me, to be able to do this. And also, I think I was very grateful, thinking that, oh my God, that I'm working, I'm doing what I love doing during, amidst that whole pandemic happening. I'm glad I'm doing this. But I think more than anything else, it was extremely inspiring and empowering for me to think that, wow, I did this. I did this with a team of four people, and we created something beautiful. So yes, it was challenging, but very, very empowering at the same time.
Hmm. Right. And I think, just looking larger at both of your sort of trajectories that you've had in cinema, both of you have managed to really grasp the grammar and characteristics of a common person. I know, Barkha, you've done a lot of Hindi TV serials, and I do understand that sometimes larger than life is pretty much within the DNA of in Hindi TV serials. But I think even if we just look at even like Ram-Leela, even again, that's a massive Bollywood film, but yet you've managed to grasp that strength of a woman, of that character really well. I mean, Trimala, I loved her performance in Haram Khor. I think that was really great. So I think again, to what extent does observations and experiences come handy to you as actors? And I guess again, we were talking about awareness before, but do you feel a sense of responsibility when playing characters that can actually have an influence on society? I think, Trimala, I'd like to pose this question to you first, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, yes, of course. I mean, I have done films where I feel like I'm responsible, like Haram Khor, Garbage, Ajay, if you've seen them, where I feel that I'm playing characters which are real life. They are not fiction, a lot of them. And I kind of, when I was shooting for Garbage, if I remember, and my director asked me, like, have you been through something like this? And I said, no. And for a moment, I thought, how am I going to portray this character? Because I've never been through this journey in my life. So, it was really tough because you don't know how you're going to do it because you have nothing to connect with personally. But yeah, somehow I did it. I managed. I spoke to a few girls who've been through this. A lot of girls actually. A lot of people I spoke to about it, and so playing. I feel playing something which is so personal and people might get influenced. It kind of it's a big responsibility because you can't go wrong.
Mm.
You have to be sure that what you're doing is right. You can't go wrong in any way. So I feel, yeah, there's a sense of responsibility to whatever you're doing. Even if it's a fiction character, there has to be a sense of responsibility. You should be aware of what you're doing as an actor. You can't just do haywire things when you're performing that to real characters. So yeah, I feel but I would say yes, you're responsible, but if I am responsible, then I think yes, the me society would also understand if I'm playing it right. So yeah, I would say that. Yeah, so for me, yeah, it's actually, you have to be responsible as an artist to an extent, but then you have to kind of, then after that, then you just have to close the book. Then the yeah,
Right.
after that.
Barkha, would you like to add to that?
You said that is it important to be observant or whatever. I think I am a very observant person. So when I observe people, like Trimala said, at times we have to enact something where it's a situation that we haven't been through, right? But I do feel that a lot of situations might have similar emotions. So they will not be the exact feeling or the exact incident, but the emotions could be similar, right? I mean, how many emotions do we have? There's love and hatred, and there's anger and anxiety and fear. So there are a few emotions. I'm extremely observant of people, also extremely observant of myself in my personal life. Whenever I'm going through something, I also kind of self-observe myself to see how I behaved or how I reacted, or stuff like that. And then when I have to do something like that on screen, I do get that from my library of moments that I've had or observations that I've made, that okay, I probably did this, or that person did that. So yes, being observant really really helps, I think. And I think that's one job that every actor should really do: observe, because that's the only way you can bring some sense of reality, while you're actually acting. That's the only way you can bring a bit of reality into it. So yeah.
Right. No, very rightly said there. And I think again, both of you have really been quite dedicated within your respective crafts. And I think, one that I really like as well is that you've not really chased mainstream opportunities. I mean, if they've come your way, then you've taken it up. But it's not something which I think both of you have actually consciously been like, हाँ आज मैं ना बड़ी स्टार बनूंगी या बड़ी सुपरस्टार बनूंगी, वैसा तो मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है. So what has kind of helped you to, I think, stay focused on your art and not get pressured by commercial traction, especially in light of today's day and age where social media, staying relevant is almost a lifeline for everyone. So Trimala, how have you coped with staying focused?
Uh, so I started at a very early age, like I think when I was 19, and I wanted to. Actually, I'll be very honest. I wanted to be a star, but I wanted to do a commercial film. I wanted to be on a big set. But as I said, I was 19. As I started growing up, I did theater. I kind of did my first film, Hansa, and then Haram Code happened. And my thought process of watching a film also changed, because when I was growing up, I remember I used to watch action films, Marvel film, DC films. So I didn't know the other side of the cinema. But when I started watching it, that really opened me up. And when I was shooting for Ramkor, I realized that filmmaking is actually a collaboration. It's not you come, do your job, and go. It's a collaboration when you discuss it with your actor, you discuss it with the director. And I really liked that space. And when slowly I was offered more independent cinema, I really liked it because I was just not an actor, but I was collaborating with the whole team. I used to sit with the whole team, with the creative team, and we used to discuss it. So I really liked that zone where I felt that I'm just not an actor, but I'm part of this whole process. So I liked that from like not writing the script, but first draft to the second draft to the third draft. Indie actually happens like that. So I like that process where I feel I'm part of the whole, and I'm learning. I can talk to my DOP, I can talk to the editor, I can go talk to the director, I can talk to the sound. It's not that I just have to come do my job and go back to my vanity. So I really like that, and that has kept me really focused, because I love the work I have done till now. A lot of people have not watched it. It actually doesn't bother me, because I feel satisfied. And I feel like a creative satisfaction inside, that okay, whatever work I've done, it gives me creative satisfaction. Maybe not fame, I'm not even bothered about it now. like about the social media. There's that, like, I don't really care about it. I'm there, but it's not that it's my life where I have to show it to people all the time. For me, it's my personal thing where I can be in touch with my friends who've been far away from school, college. For me, social media is that. So yeah, as an artist, I feel like that creative satisfaction which I've got through my films is way more important than being famous or getting those million followers on Instagram. So I like that. I like that space.
So, Anush, I mean, I have done so much TV. I have been at the heart of commercialism.
I was
When
gonna say, yeah.
television is as commercial as it can get. It's like, so I've really been at the heart of it all. And I've been there for a very long time. And very happily and very proudly. I mean, I would say that. I mean, television is a different animal altogether, if you ask me, and it requires, believe you me, a lot of talent and a lot of skill to be able to perform on that medium. It is extremely, extremely challenging. Creativity is probably the last thing on the list of things that happens on television. And you can't blame them because we're churning out episodes every week. It's like 6 days a week we are on air, and we've got to keep moving. So like I said, I've been at the heart of it all, done a lot of commercial stuff, been the typical television heroine, the bahu, tortured, cried, bad mother-in-law, dealt with all of that. So yeah, and all of that I think has me so much. I mean, today I feel whatever I'm able to do on the web of films, I've learned so much from television. So I've been there, done that, that whole commercial bit. But yes, I don't think I strived to be a Bollywood actor. For me, I wanted to be an actor. I liked the television medium because I was a huge TV fan. I would watch all these Saas Bahu shows and say, wow, I want to do this. That was really my aim in life. So I had that aim and I did it. But yes, I think over the years, of course, I'm now moving on to, hey, let's do some creative work. Let's do something that makes me happy as an artist, as an actor, as a professional. So I think I've really had both, the best of both worlds, I would say. Films, yes, I've never strived to do them. If and when something came along, of course, I've done it, but never really strived to do it. So now I think the only thing I'm trying to do is just do good content. That's all I'm trying to do. So yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned this actually, because I feel like we are really living at a time when even established actors, like superstars we're talking about, are sort of deconstructing their previous images and striving to do roles which, like you said, Barkha and Trimala, which are creatively satisfying, but yet also quite unconventional.
Right.
So what importance do you actually place on diversity in terms of the work that you choose to do, and what do you think actually does give you a sense of creative satisfaction? I would love to know a bit more in detail about what really makes you feel happy as an actor at the end of the day.
Wow. What makes us feel happy?
I mean, for me, a Starbucks makes me feel happy, but that's just exterior things.
Love to see myself on the hey, that's me. No, just yeah, but like you talked about diversity, Anuj, I think that is the one thing that I was really craving for. Okay, because when I was doing television, there's no diversity on television. All the heroines on television will play a similar character. All the vamps will have a similar character, So there's like, okay, like a better vamp or a worse vamp or a, whatever, but similar stuff, right? So I think what I genuinely craved was to be able to do something diverse. And that's when I think I started exploring other mediums and saying that, listen, there's got to be more than what I'm doing. Or maybe there's more to me than what people have seen. So I think the need to be more, to be more relevant, to be more there, to be more satisfied as an artist, I think that made me explore other mediums. Diversity, definitely, I think that is the food for our survival as an artist, because if I don't get diversity, then I'm on autopilot. I just like on and off, and I will do it, and I can do it like day in and day night. I need to be doing something diverse so that it challenges my brain cells, challenges me as a person, and says, okay, this is something that I haven't done, or this is different from what I did last time. What can I do to make it better, real, and all of that? So diversity, definitely. And ever since I have explored other mediums, I mean, from like Aru's character was like very simple, real slice of life kind of person in real life. I have done that. I have played a eunuch in another film that I have done. And that was something I was like, oh my God, like, how can you make me look like a eunuch? Ain't I so pretty? But they were like, we can do this. So, the diversity is something that got me thinking that, oh my God, I can do so much more. And that is something, I think, that is the only thing that keeps artists alive. Otherwise, I think we perish. Yeah, we burn out completely.
Right, right. What about you, Trimala? Because obviously, when we talk about again, this sort of body of work that you've done as well, like again, how much has, even in finding that voice and that identity as an artist, how important has diversity been amongst that too?
Uh, okay. Diversity. I think I have. I won't say that I have done like the work I have done. I have repeated a character. It's always been a different character. So I have. I somehow feel I've kind of been there, that journey of diversity. If I say, I've kind of figured that I don't want to repeat a character. I wanted to always play different characters. And for me, so there I kind of have figured a way, like if some script comes to me where I feel that I've done this, I would probably say no to it until or unless there's something new to it, because otherwise I feel like I'm doing the same thing, which I don't want to do as an artist, because then I'm not exploring myself as an actor. And creative satisfaction, I can tell you what gives me creative satisfaction is always not what I have done, but like watching a good film always gives me a creative satisfaction. And I always feel like, wish I was there.
Yeah, that must.
Wish like, wish I could go, like, I wish they would have called me. But that can't happen, because like right now I'm just tripping on Timothy Chalamet's work. I just want to do all the films he has done. I just want to be like, I'm like, maybe I could just message him and be like, I'm a big fan, I just want to work with you, but that's not going to happen. So I've just been tripping on his work, so that gives me creative satisfaction. I keep watching his film, and I'm like, okay, what could I learn? So I just make a notebook and I'll write something. Okay, how he did this scene from here to here. So sometimes that also gives me creative satisfaction. Just not being on shoot, like always being on shoot, acting also gives me creative satisfaction. But this also actually gives me creative satisfaction, where I can appreciate other actors' work and be like, wish I could do this, and make my notes. Like right now, because I'm tripping on his work, there is a book which I'm just writing, Call Me by Your Name. I don't know how many times I've watched that film, and I'm like, oh God, wish I could do this film. Just like, so yeah, so that's there with me. Like watching good cinema also gives me creative satisfaction.
Amazing. What about you, Barkha? Has there ever been a time when you perhaps have seen a role and you're just like, yaar, kash, mere kismat mein aisi role hoti?
A role, my God, I can't tell you how many. How
List them
many?
all. List them all. I'm all ears for that.
One that I always say, and it'll sound extremely commercial to you, but I always say I wanted to play Shah Rukh Khan's character in Dawn. I'm like, why does never anybody think of casting a woman to be that character? But that was definitely one of them. But no, honestly, yeah, there are lots of things like that you watch, and it's like she said, it's very inspiring to watch people. And I have realized over the years now there are a lot of characters that I thought, hey, I could have done this. I realized years later I couldn't have done it. I really couldn't have, because I feel that, oh my God, I don't know whether it's immaturity or whether it's you can be a bit prudent sometime and say, hey, I could have done this. But as I've started doing a lot of diverse characters now, I realize that there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's very easy to sit in front of a screen and say, hey, I could have done a better job of it, or or I could have done that as well. But I guess it's just a very different process for everybody, and it doesn't necessarily you see a role and you say, hey, I want to do that, doesn't mean that you could have actually done that, you know.
Mm.
So that's what I truly feel. Sometimes I see something that I have done and I'm thinking, hey, you know what, somebody else could have done a better job than I did. So yeah, but of course the thing is always there. Sometimes, I mean, you see some characters and you're like, hey, I would have loved to do something like that. But I do know that I would have done it differently for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we all feel that way. We all want to do some character that we haven't got, or were never offered, and we're like, hey, we would have loved to do that. But that's normal.
Sure. I think the grass always looks greener on the other side, but then when you reach the other side, you kind of realize, like, it's always a sticks and stones kind of a situation. But I think, look, on a final note, bit of a heavy question, candid question rather, but I think it would be very nice to sort of get your sort of views on. Chalti Rahe Zindagi obviously is essentially about moving on in life and having hope. But if you can perhaps recount an incident in your life when you might have faced great challenges or it may have been tricky for you to move on, and what gave you hope at that point in life, and what gives you hope now? So, quite a heavy loaded question, but it would be great to hear your sort of anecdotes. Barkha is already frowning, so I'm gonna come back to you later. Trimala, if you could please go on.
Down into my personality and answer that question, but sure, I think Trimala, we should start with you.
Um, okay. I don't know. Like when pandemic was happening, I just got married, and then I got a news that my mother's kidney is not working, and she has to go through dialysis. So that was one moment, where I kind of broke down, and I realized, because I was so busy before the pandemic, where I didn't really care. Like, of course, I used to talk to my parents, but it was generally like once a week, twice a week. And that was a time when I realized, oh shit, I need to be there for my mother. Like, of course, I love her, but because of work, because of this, that, like, I was not able to go meet her because I stay very far from Bombay. I stay in Nainital, so it's like a full 1 day, 1.5 day journey to reach home. So when that happened, and that pandemic gave me hope. No, then I can fight it and I'll go meet her. So I fought that that like I need to reach from Bangalore to Nainital somehow, and I really that gave me hope that I have to do this for my mother. All like the three sisters, so all of us had to reach to our mom. The three of us somehow planned, and during the pandemic, we reached to our mother. And, and that just my mom thing has given me hope that you have to fight, because I see her fighting every day. Like, you have to fight. You have to have hope in life. You cannot stop. Because all my life I've seen my mother independent, but that time I just saw her dependent for a second. And then, a lot of things happened with her. Kidney thing happened. Then she actually slipped. Then a hip one broke. So all that happened, and she's giving me hope. So I would say that during the pandemic and now, it's my mother who gives me hope every day. Like, she gives me confidence that have to fight every day. You cannot just sit and cry. So just fight. So I think that my mother has always been from the pandemic time, she's been my hope. Yeah. So I just that's very personal, but I thought I'd share it that
Thank you.
uh,
Thank
it's
you
my
so
mother
much.
who gives me hope every day.
Oh, that's you know what? Thank you so much for sharing that, Trimala. I think also please give, I mean, I'm so proud of Auntie.
Now she's fine. Yeah, no, she's fine
Well,
now. She's
she's
doing
sort of
better.
fought back. Good. No, I'm really proud and
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I think this is the power of vulnerability, because I always believe that vulnerability is strength, and I think this is exactly why I've asked this question because I think it's great to kind of to do that. But again, I mean, Barkha, if you feel comfortable sharing any incident in your life where it was tricky to sort of deal with, but essentially you found hope.
Um, okay, so actually, little post the pandemic, a little post that. Um, ironic, but what really happened in Aru's life, my character's life, is what happened in my real life. And it was just after the pandemic, of course. And strangely, in the film, the girl who's playing my daughter is my daughter in real life.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So yeah, her name is Mira, and yeah. So anyways, so a similar thing happened in my life, and what gave me hope was actually my daughter, because I remember there was a point in time where she just looked at me. She was all about, I think, about 9 that time when it happened. And she just looked at me and she said, "Hey, mom, you know what? You're able to fix everything. How come you can't fix this?" She had no idea what was happening, but she knew there was some problem. And she told me that you're able to fix everything. How come you're not able to fix this problem? And that's when it hit me that to her, I'm this person who fixes everything. And and that's when I realized that I have been this person who actually fixed everything in her life, in everybody's life. And that's what she's seen of her mother, that you know what, my mom can fix everything. There's no problem that my mom can't handle. And I think it was the first time that she saw me, handling something and not being able to kind of deal with it. And her question was as innocent as that, how come you can't fix this? Without understanding the magnitude of the problem. And I think that's something that gave me a lot of hope. And I said that, you know what? It was a reminder for me of who I am. That I am this person who can handle any problem. I can fix it. I can just deal with it. So that definitely was something that gave me hope. And it's been more than 2 years, continues to give me hope. But yeah, that was it.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know how to react to that. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that because I know it's very difficult, when you are actors, because everything is so public, it's so hard to sometimes confront that vulnerability and to sort of embrace it and speak about it. But I feel so proud of both of you for doing that. And thank you for doing that because it is so empowering on so many levels. And I think I'm going to link this back to Chalti Rahe Zindagi because obviously it is premiering here in the UK. What would you like audiences in the UK, especially perhaps who are Indian, who are South Asian, to perhaps take away from this, especially? Trimala?
To learn to move on in life, because Chalti Rahe Zindagi, whatever happens, you have to move on. So I would say, like, I would want the audience to probably just see that whatever happens in life, tough, difficult, happy, sad, to just move on because life will move on. So you'll have to move on. Yeah, there are phases of life where you'll feel a little down, a little high. These are emotions, you'll keep coming, but you cannot stop. So you have to be strong and you have to move on.
Right.
So probably that. Yeah.
Or what about you, Barkha?
I think the message that our film is trying to send across is just so simple, Anuj. That in a complex world that we live in today, that simplicity has become like, oh my God, like what are they even talking about? Something as simple like how Trimala said that just, just learn to move on. Or I would say that learn to let go. No matter what happens, just let go. It sounds so simple, even to me, but we live in such a complex world that simple things that, hey, you know what, move on. Something better is going to happen, or just let go, or something that wasn't good for you. It's all right to let go of it. That simplicity is, I think, lost in the complexity of our lives. But that is, I think, what we're trying to reach out to the audiences and kind of tell them that, life can be that simple. If we remember that it was simple at one point of time, we just made it really complex. But yeah, like I said, message is very, very simple. It's so simple that people think it's extremely complicated.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. And we live in such a twisted world nowadays that सब कुछ इतना उलझा हुआ रहता है. But I think that's why मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि ऐसी एक सिंपल सी फिल्म आ रही है, but बहुत ही इफेक्टिव फिल्म आ रही है जो गम को भी दर्शाती है, but इतनी एक slice of life की तरह पेश करती है. And I think that's why चलती रहे जिंदगी is very special and cannot definitely wait to see the
That's an
UK
accent
version.
Hindi you spoke in like one go. Well done.
Thank you. नहीं मुझे actually हिंदी आती है वैसे मैं हिंदी
You
बोल लेता
use
हूँ.
good words as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But no, I cannot wait for the UK audiences to see it. I mean, I'm very fortunate and
Yeah.
lucky and excited to be hosting the Q&A with, of course, Aarti, Manjari, and a few other cast crew members will also be there as well in presence. It's a shame you guys can't be
Right.
there, so we will be missing you. But yes, can't wait for the audiences to check it out. But thank you, Trimala and Barkha, for taking the time out to speak with me. I know you all are so busy shooting and all the other things, but thank you so much for taking the time out. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much, Anuj.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you
Lovely meeting you. Lovely talking to you.
and thank you for sharing such beautiful anecdotes. Honestly, it's so empowering to see artists like yourself do that. I think it's such a great way of our society and progressing forward. So thank you for doing that also. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
All right then,
Thank
guys.
you so
See
much.
you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 Thank you. Bye.